Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good evening, whenever and wherever you're watching. You're welcome to Mental Health Talk with Evelyn. So today we're going to be talking about detailed signs of substance abuse in teenagers. Yes, so we've been having so many trending videos. In fact, very recently I watched a video and it was really very disturbing. I see a young child of about 3 years already abusing substances. It's quite disturbing, and especially these days where we'll see a lot of videos on the social media on young people, teenagers. In fact, sometimes even those that are not even up to teenage age. So I saw a video last week, and this boy, he should be around 10 to 11 years, and he was already abusing cannabis. He was already abusing substances. So it is very important we know about these warning signals, so that as a parent or guardian or anybody that has the opportunity to lead a team of youths or teenagers or adolescents, or however you call it, you should be able to see these signs and know when a child is already into substance abuse. And believe me, someone that is addicted to drugs, and if you check very well, the person started at the teenage age. So this person started at a very tender age, either when the person was in primary school, secondary school, was actually influenced by their peers, friends, and all that. And it is always very difficult for someone who starts abusing substance at a very tender age to stop. It takes the grace of God. So today we are going to be looking at those telltale signs of substance abuse in teenagers. What are those signs to look out for? What are those possible signs that when you see a teenager, you should be able to tell that this child is either abusing substances or on the path to abuse substance, so add drug rather. But before we go into detail, so I would like to give us some useful background that will be very useful in this conversation. So first of all, what is substance abuse? What is substance abuse? So we've been trying to establish a definition of substance abuse. Some persons actually think substance abuse is when you abuse hard drug, or when you take hard substances. It's actually more than that, But simply put, substance abuse can be defined as a pattern of any harmful substance for mood altering purposes. So any drug you take and is altering your mood, you are taking that particular substance for the purpose of altering your mood, is actually substance abuse. So simply put, you can also abuse our daily prescription drug. So a drug that is not recommended for you and you end up taking that drug, it's not prescribed, it's not recommended, it's also substance abuse. It's also substance abuse. So it is best we know this, that abusing drug is not only when you take marijuana, or you take cocaine, or you take heroin, or you take whatever hard drug that is in existence today. I'm sure you know them. It's not only when you take that, but when you take a drug that is not prescribed by the doctor, it's also substance abuse. So it is best you take any drug you are taking, it is best it is prescribed by your doctor. So this is a very important topic for me, because at some point when watching, looking at those videos online, I became really very emotional, because seeing young people abusing substances, so by the time they get to adulthood, so what would they do? What would they become? They end up becoming problem to the society. They end up becoming problem to their own family. So there are different costs of abusing substances. So when a child or a teenager starts abusing substances, it does not only affect the person himself, it also affects the family, and they end up being drug dependent. So it affects their family, and you know, as a student, they are more likely to drop out of school. It interrupts their ability to learn in school, and it does not only interrupt their own ability, it interrupts other people around them. So their classmates, and there are other people around them that are in the class as well. It also interferes one way or the other, because you see them carrying so many physical substances. They may likely bring knives to school. By the time they are high on the substance, so they may bring some harmful instruments to school to harm either their teachers or their peers. So it is very important. This topic is actually a very important topic. So I would also appreciate your comments. I would also appreciate your comments, your question as we move on. So I will also find time to answer the questions here. So so there are different types of substances that are being abused by young people. The most common abused substance by the young people are painkillers. So nowadays, children or teenagers, they tend to abuse painkillers because they feel it gives them this euphoria, this feeling of highness when they take it. Another one is cannabis. We all know cannabis, popularly known as Igbo, popularly known as marijuana, popularly known, there are other street names. Some people call it Mary Jane. Some people call it, what other name? They have, in fact, these young people, they have so many names they call marijuana. So they try as much as possible to call it in a very coded way. In fact, I was actually opportune to have a chat with some group of students some time ago, and it's still on the same topic of substance abuse. And I was actually very amazed by what these kids know and what these teenagers know. I was really, really very amazed. In fact, if you have the opportunity to interact with a teenager, you'll be amazed by what they know. You think they don't know, but the truth is they actually know, but they need people to guide them in the right path. They need people to guide them and ensure that they follow the right path, right? So we also have what we call stimulants. So stimulants are classes of drugs typically used to treat okay, let me not go that way, but they also take stimulants to feel high. So some of them may take stimulants in classes because they actually see it as a way of coping with their studies. So when they feel depressed, when they feel down, they tend to take stimulants just to boost their mood, right? So another drug that is commonly abused by young people, teenagers, of course, we have heroin. We have cocaine. Yes, young people, teenagers too, when they have the opportunity to come in contact with such drugs, they abuse it as well. So it is left for we as parents or guardians or whoever it is that is in charge of a teenage group or youth leader to be able to guide these teenagers accordingly. So they also abuse inhalants. So there are other drugs that are classified as inhalants. They abuse them a lot. So I would not want to mention some of them for some reason actually. So yeah, so I've established that we have some kind of drug that are abused by teenagers. So now let's quickly look at the risk factors surrounding teenagers. So what are those possible risk factors that will make a teenager abuse hard drug? What are those risk factors? So we have association with people abusing drugs. So when they come in contact with their fellow peers or their fellow teenagers abusing drugs, they are also at risk of abusing substances. So you see a teenage boy or a teenage girl moving with a group of people that are abusing substance. What do you think will happen in the next few minutes? Of course, they will be encouraged to do that. At some point, they will encourage their friends to take it as well. So people that are moving, or teenagers that are moving with individuals that abuse substances, they are more liable, they are also very at risk to take this substance. Then a lack of attachment during nurturing by the parents or caregiver. So when a child actually lacks this bond between himself or herself and the parents, there is a possibility that such thing will happen. Because if you are not bonding with your child, some way, somehow, the child will definitely bond with the peer, who may lead them into one substances or the other. Then ineffective parenting. So those videos I saw online of some teenagers and some school children abusing substances, is it that the parents don't know that their child have started abusing substances? It's possible, because some of these parents, they actually though I agree that some of them might pretend not to be in the know. Yeah, I agree. But it is part of it is also ineffective parenting for a parent not to be able to detect when a child is on the path to taking substances. I call that ineffective parenting. So a caregiver who also abuses drugs. So if you have your child with a caregiver that is abusing substances, there is a possibility that yes, that teenager or that child will also go into hard drug or into abusing that substance. So I came in contact with a teenage boy some time ago, and after much investigation, it was actually discovered that okay, the parents doesn't take hard drug. There is nobody in the family that takes hard drug. But where did the child get this hard substance that it takes every time? So after much investigation, it was discovered that it was the security man that was actually giving the child that substance to take. So you see, who you leave your teenage child with or your child with also determines if that child will start going into hard drug or not. Because if you have a caregiver or if you have anyone around them that abuses substances, there is a possibility that that child too one day would abuse that substance, because seeing that person always taking hard drug, the child too would want to experiment and know what that thing is. Then people that teenagers that have aggressive behaviors too, yes, those that have what I mean by aggressive behavior is that they tend to feel grown up. They wouldn't want to take correction from anybody. When you try to put them in the right path, they tend to put you aside. Those sets of teenagers, they are at risk. They are at risk of taking hard substances. Then lack of self-control, poor classroom behavior or social skill. So when a teenage boy or a teenage girl is having a very poor classroom behavior, academically, socially, or otherwise, there's a possibility that the child might, I'm not saying the child will eventually go into hard drug, but there's a possibility that the child might dive into taking hard substances. Because at some point, you leave your teenage child with other people. They go to school, they socialize, they meet other children. You also on your part don't know the background of other children. So when your child begins to have some kind of poor social skills, because they may want to boost their communication skill or their social skill, they end up taking hard drug. So let's dive into the main topic. Why do people take drug? Okay, so let's talk about briefly why people take drug. So Please note that some people actually take drugs for good reasons. There is actually nobody that would agree that they are taking hard substance for bad reasons anyway. So they will tell you, oh, this is the reason why I eventually ended up taking hard drug. This is the reason, this is the reason. So what are those reasons? They want to fit in, because they want to fit into the society. They want to blend, they want to belong. Let me use that word. That's the more reason why a teenage boy or a teenage girl or a young adult wants to go into hard drug. Then another reason is to escape or feel relaxed. So some people, when they feel tensed up, when they feel pressured, you find them taking alcohol or any form of hard drug that will just, lighten their mood. So this is one of the reasons why people go into hard drug, because they want to escape a particular problem. They feel after taking that drug, their problem is behind them. But the real truth is, at some point when you take hard substances or when you take hard drug, at some point it gives you this feeling of euphoria. Like you feel happy, you get high. But the real truth is, it actually brings down your health. That's the truth behind it. Then to relieve boredom, yes, people take drugs because they are bored sometimes. So because they want to relieve boredom, they feel lonely, they will go into hard stuff, they will start taking hard drug. Then another reason is to seem grown up. This is actually a major point for me. When a young person is actually taking hard substances, they tell you they want to feel grown up because they feel it's meant for adults. So because they want to have that grown feeling, they dive into taking hard substances. Then to rebel, yes, some of them, they want to tell you that you can't talk to them, you can't do anything to them. So they just want to rebel just to take it. Then to experiment out of curiosity. Curiosity kills the cat, like they say. But yes, young people go into hard substances because they are curious. They've been seeing this thing on TV, they've been watching it everywhere, they've been hearing of it, they've been hearing about loud. What is that loud that they are hearing about? They want to know. So out of curiosity, they end up taking it. And because the first time they actually took it, they felt good, it made them feel good, they keep on taking it, and they become addicted at the end of the day. So another reason why people take drugs is to relieve emotional struggle or stress. Some people coming out of a broken relationship, or they are going through emotional stress or struggle, you just see them taking alcohol because they just want to feel relieved. They just want to, free themselves. They want to relieve themselves of that burden or stress. Some people, the best way to relieve stress for them is to take cannabis. Some people, the best way to relieve stress for them is to take alcohol, because they feel once they take the alcohol, they will feel relaxed. That is one of the reasons why people take them. Then the last one is perception of low risk associated with drugs. So people don't know that these drugs they are taking can actually be harmful to their health. So because they don't have that awareness, because they don't know that hard drug is at some point is harmful to your health. So even if it doesn't kill, okay, someone said, well done, Dr. Evening. Hey, I'm not a doctor, I'm a social worker, just to clear the air. Thank you so much. So, but even if hard drug doesn't kill, at some point it kills. It leads to other complications. So you see someone taking something like cocaine or cannabis, at some point the person will start having some, health complication. Someone that also abuses alcohol, that takes alcohol like you are drinking water, at some point you begin to experience some other health complications as well. So it's probably because they don't know that these drugs they are taking, there is actually risk involved. There's actually risks involved. So you may not experience it now, or you may not experience it immediately as you are taking it, but on the long run, it's going to affect, definitely. So we are almost running out of time. So what are those possible signs to look out for as a parent, as a caregiver, as anyone that is in charge of a teenage group, a youth body, organization? What are the possible signs that you should look out for, or those signs that will tell you that this person have started abusing substances, or this person is actually on a path to substance abuse? So the first one is unexplained need for money. So when your teenage child suddenly comes to meet you and start asking for money often, and you don't even know what the child is using the money for, actually be suspicious. So they often need money. They'll come and meet you, mommy, daddy, auntie, uncle, please, I need money to do this, I need money to do that. And when you actually find out, okay, you give them the money at first, then they come back to meet you again that they want money. There's actually something wrong. There's a problem. So you should watch out for that. Then disappearing money or valuables. If you see someone that is really addicted, they can go any length to get that drug. They can go any length. Someone that is addicted to cocaine or marijuana, you see them, they can do anything just to get that particular drug. So you start noticing that your money is disappearing, your valuables. You keep your phone. Before the next minute, you start looking for your phone, you start looking for your neck chain, your expensive gold chain, you start looking for it, and when you investigate, you discover that it's that teenager that has taken the money. If you ask them, what did you use the money for? They can't give you a particular reason what they used the money for. They can tell you, oh, I've sold it. So, okay, fine, you've sold it. What did you use the money for? So it's actually a sign. Then problems with memory. So they easily do not remember things, especially in class. So they have retarded memory. They don't remember things. There is a possibility that child is into something fishy. Then problems with trouble with the police. So they always get into trouble with policemen. Now the police, they are there for law to make sure that there is law and order in the society. So when you see a teenage child in some places that you don't expect to see them, and police just they go there and start raiding or start apprehending them, they start having troubles with the police. So it's actually a sign, a possible sign that there's something going on. You need to investigate. Then frequent absence from schoolwork. Yes, there's actually someone I know. So this person actually started taking substance at a very tender age. So how it started, the person leaves school because he wants to have meetings with his friends, his peers. They just want to meet and experiment drugs. So that was how it started. So the person would start frequently absenting himself from schoolwork. So instead of the person to be in school, instead of the teenager to be in school, you start seeing them in odd places. In places that you are not even expected to see them. You start seeing them in odd places. You start seeing them in some, let me say uncompleted video, because the video I watched recently, that child is not more than 10 years, and the child was in an uncompleted building taking cannabis. And when apprehended, the child started crying that, oh, it was just the first time, I just wanted to try it, I wanted to taste it, this is my first time of doing it. Probably that child have been seeing people abusing substance, and because of curiosity, the child wants to know, what is this thing that this person is taking, that I've been seeing this person taking, or I've been seeing this group of people taking. Then declining in schoolwork. So the teenager or the child begins to perform poorly in schoolwork. So when they give the child assignments, you hear something like, I don't know it, I couldn't do it, and the child never attempted the assignment. So it's actually a possible sign to look out for, that there is something wrong that needs to be investigated. Then you notice that they start ignoring activities that used to be important to them. So for those that actually grew up in a Christian home, that likes going to church or going to mosques, you discover that activities are actually very important to them and their family. They start, avoiding such activities because they feel they might be noticed when they engage in such activities. Then mood swings, this is very popular. So when they don't take that substance, they become very moody. So when you notice, aside from hard drug, when you see a child that is actually very moody often, it is best you engage that child or that teenager to know what the problem is, because yes, children also go through depression, and that is actually one mistake, or that's actually something that some parents actually don't know. They feel depression is actually only for adults. No, but children also go into depression. So aside from this substance taking, you may want to know why that child is moody all the time. You may want to know what is wrong, because that child too, aside from the drug, the child might be going through depression and you wouldn't know. So it is very important. Then tiredness, the teenager begins to, you get tired all the time. You begin to feel weak. You've not done anything, you are getting tired. What are you getting tired for when you've not done anything in the house, or you've not done anything that day? Simply because you've not taken that substance, right? You've not taken the substance. Then another possible signs to look out for is explosive outbursts. Yes, they feel grown up. You've not said, you as a parent or as a caregiver or as an aunt, uncle, you've said only one thing, they've said 10. They've mentioned 10 things. So they just, this explosive outburst, they just, shout, talk to you anyhow. Of course, they feel grown up. Why? They're already high on the substance. So they talk to you anyhow. They want to feel grown up. They want to tell you that, yes, both of you are now on the same level. So you see someone that is high on joy, there's this feeling it gives them. It gives them this high feeling that they are above everybody. That is one thing hard drug does. So it gives them this high feeling that they are grown up, they are big, they are good enough, they can take care of themselves. They don't need anybody to take care of them or however as the case may be. Then they also have minimal interaction with family. So because they don't want the family to spot out some certain things, or they don't want the family to know or have that suspicion that they've started abusing substances, they try to limit the way they interact with their family. So if peradventure they are in a boarding house, or let's say a university, during holiday they may not want to go home without any good reason. They may not want to go home, so they may try as much as possible to limit any form of interaction with their family member. Then changes in eating habits, they eat a lot. So you see them wanting to finish all the food in the house. So they just finish eating. They are requesting for more. Every minute, they just want to put something in their mouth. They eat unlike the way they eat. I understand that some children, some teenagers actually eat a lot. They eat very well. But when it begins to get out of control, when it begins to get out of hand, and it's now more than the usual portion they usually eat, and this is not happening once, it's not happening twice, it's something that is happening, that has been happening before now. Just you should be in the know. You should investigate what is actually wrong with that teenager. So it changes their eating habits. generally hard drug, someone that is taking cannabis, for instance, the person would want to eat everything that comes this our way. The person would want to eat everything that he or she sees. So it's part of the signs. Then sudden changes in friends. So you see them change their circle of friends. So the ones that are calm, the ones that are gentle, they wouldn't want to follow their gentle friends again or calm friends because they feel those ones don't belong. So they want to follow the friends, the group that is the happening group. So they want to follow the group that is happening, the ones that, you know, they feel safe with, they feel they are in the same level or in the same group with. So you see them changing their circle of friends. So once a teenager starts changing circle of friends, all of a sudden, without any good reason, and you notice that that circle of friends they are actually moving with is actually the wrong group, please begin to suspect and take action immediately. Then poor concentration. So they have poor concentration in school, in their schoolwork, or whatever they do. Then lastly, withdrawing socially. So a child that is a teenager that is into substance abuse, you see them, they begin to withdraw from every social activities. Why? Because they feel someone might actually notice, right? So it is very important to know these things. So when we spot a teenager, because it is happening everywhere. You see on the internet today, you see a group of students, girls, smoking shisha. It's not only peculiar to boys, even the female child too as well. I mean, the other day we saw on social media, on Twitter, where a group of girls were joyfully smoking shisha. Thank God the case has been sorted out anyway. But then it is also very important we know these things, we know these signs, so that when we notice any of these things, we begin to take proper action. So I hope this is helpful. Okay, so this topic is actually a very broad topic. I would love to, discuss more, but because of our time, the program is just for 30 minutes, and we are 3 minutes. We are 3 minutes more than the time. So thank you so much for joining in. Thank you so much for joining in. So if you have any question or any comment, you can drop. I will see them. Thank you. So I'm seeing some familiar names. Thank you so much for joining in. Please join me again next week. I'll also be talking on a very important topic that will be very useful to our mental health and our everyday well-being. For now, it is bye. So this program is called Mental Health Talk with Evelyn. It's every Wednesday by 3 p.m. Thank you for joining in. Bye-bye.